Hey, how is everyone doing today on this Friday? It is Friday. I see some people here already. We've got 4 people in the Kahoot. Let's see how many people will join up the Kahoot because we are currently live and we'll be starting the Kahoot usually about 3-4 minutes after this. So if you're waiting, so if you got your phone out right now, which you should, and you're waiting to start the Kahoot, you should hear the music in the background. I found the best Kahoot music ever. Actually, make sure you can hear it because there's many different Kahoot musics. How is everyone doing in the chat right now? Everyone having a great Friday. Time to review, and now you should hear the music. Who all is here? We are broadcasting right. Some people earlier were saying, hey, here we go. The music's about to start back up. Let's see. Hey, Chloe, good to see you. Happy Friday. Good to see you, Wilson. Earlier, office hours. This is the best. Can you guys hear the Kahoot music in the background? It's the absolute best Kahoot music. One thing I want to point out, if you're watching this right now, is that these are questions that are going to be on the Canvas content quizzes. So the questions you're about to see in this Kahoot are going to be a major and excellent review for Canvas content quizzes. Good to see you, Wilson. We are live, right? Here's a quick story. One day I started class in the summer, and I taught for like 10 minutes. And then people said, when is Brian going to appear? And I realized I had never clicked the go live button. So I'd been teaching for 10 minutes and no one was responding. So say hey if you're in the chat. Some people have already said hey, but are we live? Are we on the internet? I think we are. Mark says tough. I agree. There's so many moving parts to the internet. It's a series of tubes. No one understands it. No one knows what the internet is. Let's hop over here to the main screen and see what's going on with this Kahoot here. Only 13. We're going to have more. We haven't even hit the official time yet. I think more people will be joining in here soon. Usually we get a spike in individuals. This is my new favorite Kahoot music right here. Let's even bring out... There we go. Don't talk to me or my son. Memes. Hey, Preston, how are you doing? Clay, doing well? This is the chance to win right here. See, you can think of it as a positive or a negative. 1, we're going to be doing some really awesome review. But 2, I love it. It's like the only Kahoot song that actually has someone singing. I like it. He goes, yeah. And I'm like, I heard that and I was like, this is awesome. This is my new favorite Kahoot song. We're going to get like DMCA'd by Kahoot. They can't play our music. It's good music though. Thank you, Preston. Hope you're doing well too. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to see who wins. It's 13. We're at lucky 13 right now. I don't understand. Here's something I don't understand. Is we usually wait for about 4 minutes after to start the Kahoot. That way people can join in. But I don't understand why buildings don't have a 13th floor. I understand people's fear of the number 13, but wouldn't the 14th floor just be the 13th? That's not logical. It's still the 13th floor. There's still 13. It still counts. Numbers don't know the difference between that you don't want to call it 13. It's still the 13th floor. So if you're on the 14th floor and it says that and they won't call it the 13th, it's still the 13th floor. Now you don't want to go to the 14th floor. 14. But that 14 was different. We will start 4 minutes after. Not 13, but 4 minutes after. Are there any questions in the chat? The project's been released. There'll be some project help videos. The first project is very short. I'll drop some hints about this right here. Rocky Top Stats, good to see you. I'm super confused about our project. Do we just write 2 paragraphs, one after and one before? The whole point of the project, great question. Cruz, kind of leading into that right here. Clay might have a question too. But with the project, I'll turn down the music a little bit here. With the project, your goal is to basically do an executive summary and an outro. And this is one of the areas we really see students maybe not quite understanding what to do with the project. So your literal first project, because it'll be an end of semester project where you'll do the whole inner portion of the project. Your whole first project is to do the executive summary and the outro for data that's already been prepared. Does that make sense, Rocky Top Stats? Like, you've been handed this, and it's like your portion of the report to just do the executive summary and just do the outro. That is your goal right there. So when you think about what an executive summary is, I have a video on it. I'll be putting out a little more help video on the project too. But an executive summary is kind of the abstract of an article. If you've ever read a scientific article, the abstract is going to give you all the key findings, everything important. And if you read an abstract, you kind of know basically everything important that they did and found. Now, of course, you can read the greater details. Exactly, like a business plan executive summary. it should really hit the highlights. You shouldn't just take all the paragraphs and just bring them up to the top. You should think about what was said in each paragraph and then take the key points out of it. Like, what was the key analysis that was done? And the outro should not just reiterate the same points, because I mean, if you're going to tell everyone the whole story at the start and then give the grand details in the middle, like, you know, then at the end of it, you want to be able to kind of lead them into the future of where you'll go. Gotcha. By outro, do you mean like a conclusion? Kind of like a conclusion, but here's the best way to talk about it. Like, you know, Marvel movies, best stuff ever, Marvel intro. So we'll start here in 3 minutes. So if you're waiting 3 minutes, and we'll start. We're going to start right about 5:05. If I ever say off by an hour, I promise. It's because I'm in a different time zone. But with this right here, think about a Marvel movie. If you were to sit down and tell your friends the plot of Iron Man, that would be the what? If you were to sit down and tell your friends the plot of Iron Man, would that be the executive summary? Would that be the report? Or would that be the outro? It'd be like a preview. So think, would that be the, you're going to tell them the whole plot. You're going to be like, oh, like, you know, so Tony Stark is this billionaire, like crazy guy, and he gets captured, and then he comes back and he decides he wants to do some good. So he becomes Iron Man, but then he's got to, I don't want to give away too much spoilers. You'd be giving away a bunch of spoilers. Think about it. You could sum up Iron Man in probably like 7 strong sentences. What do I mean by strong sentences? Each sentence is impactful. Like, you could mention his key adversary in the movie. You could mention the big conclusion, you know, and at the end he says, I am Iron Man. It's such a good ending. So what we just did there is we did an executive summary. If you did that, you'd kind of spoil the whole movie. Iron Man's been out for a long time. Someone's like, no, it's been out for a long time. So I chose Iron Man, one of the oldest movies in the Marvel franchise. So the executive summary would spoil the whole movie. But maybe would someone still watch the movie? Would your friend be like, oh, that sounds like a cool movie, I should watch it? They didn't watch the movie. They got the executive summary of the movie, which hit all the key points. So now we understand that the executive summary goes through and gives all the key points, like, and summarizes it in a condensed way. And then the report itself is the movie. And then you think about, what is the outro? Well, I really like the Marvel movies here because they have outros. They have like this, you know, the outro of the Marvel movie is Nick Fury, I think, meeting with Iron Man or Tony Stark and saying, he walks in, he's like, I am Iron Man. He's like, I've got an initiative for you. It's the Avengers initiative. So when you think about the outro, it's going to build on what you've done. Like, where could we go from here? What comes next? So think of it in that way. Like, you're not just going to redo your results in the outro because they've already read it. They read your executive summary to be like, oh, this is what the report's about. I'm interested in this. I'm going to read the full report to get all the details. And now your outro is going to give them some, like, here's where we're going to go from here. Here's our future plans. Maybe you're asking for money, which you do in your executive summary too. Like, you know, we need this money for this, this, this. But then in the outro, you might say, you know, with this, we'll be able to blah, 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 blah. It just depends. It's very malleable to what you're working with. So it can be different for every outro. But the outro should not just reiterate what you've been talking about. It's like new ideas and the kind of like what comes next ideas. So does that make sense, Rocky Top? And we'll start here. I see what Clay says. Well, we need to get Joshua in here. Let's put the 1 minute countdown. So we'll start here in literally seconds. Future research, yeah. Poster presentation, exactly. So you got like your boom intro start to it, then you got your whole poster presentation, and then you've got the outro part of it. We've got 23 people in today. It's going to be some heated competition right here, and we're doing normal curve stuff. How does the mixing sound? I need some people to give me some last bit of advice here right before we get started. Do you want the Kahoot volume higher or lower? Does everything sound good? Because we're starting here in seconds. Get your phone out, click in, get the code in if you're ready. Oh, we might have 25 people. It's going to be some heated competition right here. Also, starting with Chapter 5, Part 2, this should help with that. And I think I've pushed stuff back around a little bit. So email me if you're stuck on it. You won't have to you don't have to use calculators on the exam, but this will be a lot like the exam because it's a lot like the Canvas content quizzes, and the Canvas content quizzes are how you're taking your exam. So without further ado, let's Kahoot. Let's do this. Here we go. Chapter 5, and I need to lock the game now. Let's do this. What is not a way to describe bivariate data? What is not a way to describe bivariate data? Now, if you know the ways to describe univariate data, you'll see every way to describe univariate data on this screen. So what is a way not to describe bivariate quantitative data? What is a way not to? The ways to describe univariate data is shape, like this is unimodal symmetric. Center, we would use the mean because it's unimodal symmetric, and spread would use the standard deviation. So with this right here, what is a way not to do it? So hopefully we probably tricked all. Oh, wait. So this is, I super tricked everybody. No, we've got some people leading the way right here. So this is a way to describe bivariate quantitative data. Sorry, I started with a trick today. This is going to be an interesting Kahoot. If you got that one of these questions right here, you are super in the lead right now. So strength, take this note. Remember, we take notes during the Kahoots. Here's the 4 ways, and this might come in some use here in a moment. You ready? Good job, Clay, if you got it right there. The 4 ways to describe bivariate quantitative data are strength, direction, form, and unusual features. When you have univariate data, let's look at the media again. I need to see this in the chat. We're reviewing. You ready? How many ways do we describe this? Like, how many different things can we talk about with this? There are come on, who knows? 100 points in the chat. How many ways do we describe this? We describe with how many ways? What are the ways to describe this? This is univariate. 3, Wilson. Great job. There's 3. Shape, center, spread. So this is univariate, and there's 3 ways to describe it. How many ways are there to describe bivariate data? Just think you have one more variable. And that you don't have one more. I mean, you do, but you're not using the same things. When we get to bivariate, Preston, you're right, there'll be 4 ways. What does that bivariate data look like? Get ready, because here it comes. Question number 2. Oh my gosh, look at, we've never had a leaderboard like this. Bronze Gecko versus Captain Penguin. I like Captain Penguin right there. Sorry, Bronze Gecko, but we got Melodic Sable right there. Captain Penguin, let's do this. You got this, Captain Penguin. Is that Caleb? We'll find out. How do we describe bivariate quantitative data? Maybe I can repeat the 4. How do we describe bivariate quantitative data? This is a peek into the future. We'll be doing this week. How do we describe bivariate quantitative data? I heard that there's 4 things, and maybe there's no trick to this question. There might be no trick or no wrong answers to this question, because when we talk about bivariate quantitative data, we have strength, direction, form, and unusual features. All the answers are correct. And I did some really good notes today on this. I just want to show them off really briefly right here during office hours. If you want the full version of this where I walk through it, you can see the 4 ways to describe bivariate quantitative data. All of these are scatter plots. Scatter plots is a bivariate relationship between quantitative variables. We mean that we have a quantitative x and we have a quantitative y. That makes a scatter plot. Strength is the vertical scatter. Notice how the parabola right here has the same vertical scatter as the line, meaning the parabola has the same strength. All of these are weak, these are moderate, and these are strong. Direction is the easiest one to do. Does it go up? Does it go down? Or does it go neither/both? We don't really care about this last one as much. We really care about positive or negative. And then we have the 2 other ones right here. We have linear versus nonlinear, and this is for form. So make sure to be taking notes, pausing the screen if you need to, especially if you're watching in the future. Good to have you here, Michaela. And last but not least, we have unusual features, which are outliers, and plot does not thicken. So I want you to take a moment here, and let's see if we can figure out how to describe this one. We're just doing a slow review of a new chapter we haven't even done yet. Just say, what? You ready? What is the strength of this? Weak, strong, or moderate? Look at those points. Weak, strong, or moderate. What is the strength of this scatter plot? Is it weak? It's strong. The points have a tight scatter. So you look at how scattered they are on the y-axis, super strong. Strength, direction. Is it positive, negative, or neither? Neither is kind of, can be like both, neither. We don't really care about that one. Is it positive, negative, or neither? It's positive. So we just did strength, direction. Form is either linear or not linear. Is this linear or not linear? So it's either linear or not linear. It is what? 100 points, everyone answering right here. Great practice right here. It is linear. And do you see any outliers? I don't. If there was a point down here, it would be like an outlier, but there's no outliers. So there's no unusual features. This is a very strong positive linear correlation. So we could say this is a very strong positive linear correlation, and we've just done strength, direction, form, unusual features. These are the 4 ways, and these appear oftentimes on the test, to describe bivariate data. Univariate data, quantitative, has 3 ways: shape, direction, oh my gosh, shape, center, spread. The 3 ways are Stat Nation, you bet, Clay, shape, center, spread for univariate. Strength, direction, form, unusual features for bivariate. Let's see who's in the lead. Captain Penguin, was it? Oh, it's neck and neck. Look at those people who got the first question right. This is going to be pretty crazy. Let's see who wins here with question number 3. Scores are normally distributed with a mean of 80 and a standard deviation of 10. What is the z-score for 85? So a z-score is how many observations something is above or below the mean. So when we say the mean of 80, we're saying that the average score somebody got, it's normally distributed, that means the normal curve. So they would be right here at the center where my head is. They'd be under my head. And then we're saying that they scored an 85, so that's 5 points above the mean. And what's a standard deviation? It's 10. So 5/10, that's the z-score. They are half a standard deviation above the mean. Great practice right there. Let's open up a Word document and just show that answer and show the notation on it. So one of the big things people are often wondering is, what is the notation and what does it mean? When it comes to the notation right here, we have that y is the observation. So that's just like your score on the test. The y is the observation. Great job there, Shelby. We've got here mu is the mean. That means the average score on all the tests. And then sigma right there is the standard deviation. That's the variation with the test. So if we were to do a really quick drawing right here, we could see, since the scores are normally distributed with a mean of 80 and a standard deviation of 10, we would see it would look something like this right here. So 80 and then 90 would be here. We could put 100 here and 110. This was a good test with extra credit. And you landed right here. Does this visualization help people understand that you are just half a standard deviation above the mean? Now, here's what I beg of you. I beg of you to do this, because what you need to do here is go and put 0, 1, 2, and 3, and it's pretty obvious then that this is at half a standard deviation. One last way to solve this problem is to do the mathematics, and we could do observation minus mean over standard deviation. Now, this top part of the formula is just a distance on how far those things are away. So when you solve it, all you're doing is finding that 85's distance from 80 is going to be 5, and then you're dividing that by 10. Does everyone see right here how it's 1/2, or this individual right here is half a standard deviation above the mean? And that's the interpretation of what a z-score is. It's how far above or below the mean you are. Key, you could be below the mean. Hint for next question. So let's get ready here with the next question, because you could be below the mean. Here comes the leaderboard. Captain Penguin. Did I call it? Captain Penguin, you got this. I'm rooting for you, Captain Penguin. I'm rooting for you till you lose the lead. I'm keeping with one person this time. We got this. Let's see right here who's going to win with question number 4. Z-scores are normally distributed with a mean of 80 and a standard deviation of 10. What is the z-score for 75? Wait a minute. This sounds a lot like the last question. They're only 5 away. They're only 5 away, but where? Last time they got an 85. This time, they got a what? It's all the way over there. I can't reach it. Great job. You're following along perfectly. Excellent work. Man, I can't wait till we get one of those all correct. But great job. It's like the same but in reverse perfectly. And if you notice right here, we have our example. Check it out. All we're doing now is plugging in 75, which I went way too far. 75 would be there. Who said, Daniel, you get an extra 100 points. You are exactly right. Throw your comments in the chat. Throw your questions in the chat. I will try to answer all of them as we keep kahooting. But you'll notice right here that this individual, I should have drew this a lot better. I should have had one ready to go. Drawing it by hand is a really good practice. And you notice this person who made a 75, come erase my other people right here. This person who made a 75 is actually equidistant from the center of the distribution, and they would be at negative 0.5. To solve for their z-score, you would simply go right here and plug in 75, and you'll notice you get negative 5 over 10. So the mathematics here would be the observed score minus the mean of the distribution over the standard deviation to find out what their z-score is. And you can see, since their z-score is negative 0.5, how would we interpret that? The individual scored half a standard deviation below the mean. Captain Penguin, don't let me down. Please don't be here, Captain Penguin, or here. Oh my gosh, Captain Penguin has a strong lead, having gotten that first question correct. Who wants to take down Captain Penguin? Let's see some me's in the chat as we get ready here. Is Captain Penguin going down? What does everyone think? The chart you just showed us on the whiteboard with the amounts of the variables in the associated charts. Drawing it. Every once in a while, we'll take down Captain Penguin. What? Don't do it. No. Why? We will definitely, Preston, be going over this a lot more and keep asking questions. Being able to draw it is really good for the test. These types of questions right here, drawing it really helps. And you'll see me doing that a lot throughout these questions and keep asking if I can go into greater detail. But what I'm doing right here is you can do it without it. You could do the formula, but drawing it helps a lot. Will Captain Penguin go down? I don't know. Here we go with question number 5. They are once again normally distributed with a mean of 80 and a standard deviation of 10. What % of students are expected to score between 70 and 90? It's almost like the question has a big hint on the screen. But we have to right now convert 70 to a z-score. 70 would be 1 standard deviation below the mean. 90 looks like 80 plus 10. If you notice, this is notation of mean standard deviation. So I could write, nice job. People are like, I got this. You got it. Because right now, if you look at the distribution right here, 80 was at the center, and we're going to 70 and 90. These numbers you have to know. You have to know 68, 95, 99.7. So what if I were to say to you, I can't think of the next question. I mean, I write these, but I can't think of the question. What if I were to say to you, what % of people are expected to score between an 80 and a 90? What % of people, according to the empirical rule, which is the empirical rule right here, are expected to score between an 80 and a 90? Remember, the mean is 80. Standard deviation is 10. Who knows in chat? Victoria, you are right. 34. Excellent work right here. And we can show this also. I don't have one of those drawings up. Let's zoom in on this right here. There we go. So if you take a look at this right here, what we're doing is we're drawing the 68 on this, which is the % of people according to the empirical rule. And so this literally means we would expect 68% of people to make between a 70 and a 90. You can put the z-scores below it. You'll see me do that a lot of times, just kind of keep track of where I'm at. And on the previous graphic, it had the z-score too. Now, you might be wondering, how did we get 34? Well, think about it. The curve is symmetric around this portion. Since the curve is symmetric right here, you can just take and cut this in half. If you cut it in half, 1/2 of it would be 34 because we're cutting 68 in half. These questions are very fair on the test. Like, what you have to know is you have to know 68, 95, 99.7. If anyone's ever taken any stats before, they're very famous numbers, and they explain the % of area we expect on the normal curve, and the normal curve is a very common curve for distributions. It's the most common, hence why it's called the normal curve. There's others. There's the exponential and the gamma and I guess the Poisson and all these others. But the normal curve we're talking about today, you know what? I should show that. The guy who made the normal curve, it's so big, they actually put it on, I think, the Deutschmark. They put this curve on their money. They've got math on their money. And I think that's awesome. So let's see right here. Who's winning? Is it Captain Penguin? People are fighting. We set off a chain reaction right here where everyone's fighting against each other, but Captain Penguin has a strong lead. How can you beat Captain Penguin? It's not like Sergeant Penguin. It's Captain Penguin. Oh my gosh. Space Horse. Okay, I said I'm going to keep voting for Captain Penguin, but Space Horse is a really cool name. Space Horse, you can come in second. You ready? Let's do this. Let's find out if Space Horse will rocket up to the lead. And here we go with question number 6. Once again, the scores are normally distributed. What % of students are expected to score between a 70 and an 80? This is the same thing. Remember, the mean is here at 80. Maybe Brian gives hints to questions before they happen. Be thinking it over and think what you could draw. This is 80, and this is 90, and this is 100, and this is 110, and this is 80, and this is 70. No, Rocky Top, and then 60. Were you Captain Penguin, Rocky Top? Did someone make you crash? Space Horse for the win. Does everyone understand how to do this one? I kind of usually allude to some questions to maybe give some helpful tips. What we're doing right here is we're just cutting it in half. What you want to do right here is draw underneath it 80, 70, 60, 50, 80, same thing, 90, 100, 110. One thing I want to make very, very clear is you should be slightly familiar with this notation. I think I drew it out pretty clearly on this example over here, that when you're drawing that, it means normally distributed. So this right here, let's just make it clear. This right here is the mean of the distribution. And this right here is the standard deviation. And the standard deviation is the distance right here. Does everyone understand this notation? That the first thing means the normal, and the normal means the shape of the curve. So that's the shape of the curve when we put that right there. And then the 80 is going to be the center, which is the mean. And then we have here the standard deviation, which is this right here. So this is kind of the general notation. And we should maybe put one last thing here. The numbers in red are what we call the standard normal curve. Everything on the standard normal curve, I should have asked this question. Everything on the standard normal curve is a what? On the standard normal curve, who knows for 100 points in the chat, the standard normal curve, everything on it is what's. And there's a big hint, if you can see the screen right here. Everything on the standard normal curve is a what? It's a z-score, Victoria. Great job. And Ashina, so great. Ashna, right there. Great job. And it's going to be in terms of one standard deviation. So it's always a standard deviation on here. Right top, great job. 100 points, all of you. It's always a standard deviation, but these will be z-scores. The standard normal curve has a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. So everything there will be z-scores. And usually I like to draw this down below it because then I can kind of tell where things are at. Can anyone tell me the z-score of somebody who made a 98 on this test? Who can do that really quickly? Can anyone tell me the z-score of someone who made like a 98? And you know what I'm going to do? It's back. Rainbow pen is back. Rainbow pen is back. Rainbow pen is back. We got space pen and rainbow pen. I found it today. It did not go away. Great job. It's 1.8. And you can do this yourself by just practicing right here. You can go right here and write 98. Is that space pen or that is rainbow pen? Space pen versus rainbow pen. So we got right here that that is a 1.8 z-score, and you can see the mathematics over there on the side. The more problems you do, the better you get. And then you get to a test question that asks you something like this, and you're just like, got it right away. I want to make sure that you can answer these questions, so let's keep going here. Space Horse is in the lead. It really is a neck-and-neck race. Let's find out who's going to win right here. Here comes question number 7. Once again, same distribution. What percent of students are expected to score between a 50 and a 70? You've got the answer on the screen. You just have to go here and remember that this is 80, this is 70, this is 60, and this is 50. So wait a minute, you're going from here to here. Don't select this one. You're going from here to here. I've got the sad music ready. If more than half people miss it, it's gonna be a sad day. Wait, I don't know that. I don't know which one to play. But it wasn't half the people. This was a tricky question. I expected a lot of people to miss this one because there's a common mistake. So let's see how to solve this one and get it right. I was confused. I was like, well, that's the best answer was got it. But let's go and kind of draw this one out here. You ready? So here is Brian's suggestion for these really tough problems. I'm going to erase some of the stuff right here. So let's do this. You ready? These are all the numbers. Let's try this out. If I were to add up, let's say I were to add up 34 and 34, what would I get if I added 34 and 34? If I were to add 34 and 34, what would that add up to? Any ideas? 34 plus 34? Any ideas what that would add up to? 68. What would I get if I added on these to it? Like, that's another 27%. Does anyone see 68 plus 27? What would that add up to? 68 plus 27 adds up to what? 68 plus 27, 95. And then if I were to add on this right here, what would this add up to? Because that's another 4.7. It is 4.7. Another 4.7 to 95, I'd get 68, 95, 99.7, which leaves only how much total on the outside. How much total is left on the outside? How much total is left on the outside? Like total on the outside. The total amount on the outside, remainder is 0.3, great job, excellent work, and then 0.15 on either side. So the question we had, so we know what these areas are, they're just the areas in between these values, like in between here and here is 34%. So the question we had asked us to do Going from, let's do right here, 80, 70, 60, 50, and this is 0.15 below here, but our question wanted us to do, let's highlight only what we want to see. Our question only wants from here to here. Mathematically, how should you solve for this answer? Mathematically, how should you solve for this answer? And there's another way to solve for it too. I'll show you another way here in a second. I'll show you a harder way. If you know these numbers, it's really good. Add them. Yeah, basically, yeah, Ashina, right there. You will add those two numbers. And so you could do this though. How much, let's do this. Let's pretend we don't know all those numbers. Like we don't know all those numbers, which you can, and you can practice writing down those numbers. That helps. And it can help with some empirical rule numbers. I want to erase that line. There we go. Let's say we were to draw out our curve and go here and do 80, 70, 60, 50, and we were to do the following. We want the area. This is another way to solve these. These are probably the most difficult empirical rule questions we can ask. So if we were to ask it, let's say we did it this way. We're going to go here and we're going to say between 50 and 70. Well, why don't I do this? Why don't I first figure out the area below 70? How could I figure out the area below 70? Well, maybe I know that between 70 and 90 is how much? Between 70 and 90 is how much area? Between 70 and 90 is how much area on the curve? While people are thinking about that answer, I'll write in the remaining numbers. Yes, 68. So if 68 is inside, then what is outside total? What is outside total? If 68 is inside, what is outside total? What is outside total of 68? If 68 is inside, what is total outside? 32, great job. And then what is one of these worth? If 32 is total, then one of my arms is worth what? How much is one of my arms worth? Great job in the chat, 16. That is correct. This is 16%. So we know that that's 16 below there, but what about this? What about this little portion right here? That little guy right there, we can figure out this way. Now, we might already automatically know it. Between here and here is 99.7%. I hate that it moves up when you do an undelete. And so we go right here. If 99.7% is inside of there, then that's 0.3 remainder outside and 1.5 on either side. And I see a big question right here. So we want to remove this, and this is another way to solve the problem. So we would subtract these two numbers right here, and that would give the area. So the answer is going to be 15.85, and then is equal to 16% minus 0.15. I can calculate the values under the empirical for the normal curve without any trouble, but part 2 of the chapter 5 asks for the values that are not for a normal curve. You bet. We're going to be doing those next. I think that might be the next 3 questions, Rocky Top. We are definitely covering questions that are going to be really tough. In your help values, you asked for the David M website, but I'm guessing we won't have that on the exam. But the exam could look a lot like these questions coming up right here. Are you ready? Because these might be exactly what exam questions will look like when you don't have the David M Lane applet. And here's the thing. We're about to, so people are doing pretty well right now, but I'm about to raise it up to the hard questions. We're about to do the really tough questions. Is everyone ready in the chat to do the tough questions and see what the tough exam questions could look like? Also the tough Canvas content questions. These are really, Victoria's ready. We got this. Daniel's ready. Ashton is ready. Let's do this. Here we go. Captain Penguin. Oh no, Brave Chicken. You can do it, Brave Chicken. Second place, Brave Chicken. You got this. Here we go. The scores are normally distributed again, same curve. The middle 60% has a z-score between this and this. What is the 80th percentile of grades? This is a 60-second question for a reason. We're using the same curve for all these questions, just so I can make sure people know all the questions have used the normal 80-10 curve. So you can just kind of, if you've drawn it out, it'll help. You can kind of deduce that this is somewhere around 88%. But let's think right here. What you need to do if you're working this right now, well, one, pause the video maybe, but look at this right here. Good down here, Alexandra. And so we have 60% would be in the center. If 60% is in the center, what is total outside? If 60% is total in the center, what is outside? Well, 40 total. So this is worth 20. Nice job right top. This is worth 20. So if this is worth 20 right here, then there'd be 80% below here, making this the 80th percentile right here. And I'll draw this in a moment. This is the z-score. So all we need to do is times that by 10 and add it to the mean, making the answer 88.42. That was a tough question. So let's use the picture right here. Let's go grab the picture. And 2 seconds, let's bring it over into Word and show how this is solved. 0.842. These are some of the toughest questions. So if you can answer these, you are doing great. And I purposely put some of the toughest questions. Yeah, so Rocky Top, let's do it. You ready? So it says that we know the z-score for here. Like, here's what I would draw. The problem gives you the z-score for this spot. So the problem tells you that the z-score for this spot right here is 0.842. Does that make sense? It also says the z-score for this spot right here is negative 0.842. Now, one other thing the problem says is that this is the middle 60%. With this being the middle 60%, what does this leave on the outside total? So I need people in the chat. They've already said it one time, but we got to repeat it. Total outside is what? Total outside is what? The total outside is what? What would be the total? 40%. That means one of my hands is worth 20. Do you see how it's like 60 inside, 40 outside, whatever adds to 100. You just go 60 inside, 40 is what adds to 100 because it's going to be the remainder of the curve. So you can subtract 60 from 100. And then you cut it in half because it's symmetric. And you'd have 20% here and 20% here. Now, an important thing to mention is whenever we're talking about percentiles, would you rather be in the 99th percentile of the class or the first percentile of the class? Don't be tricked by what I'm saying. Would you rather be in the 99th percentile of the class for grades or the first, the 99th? So the 99th is up here. You don't always want to be in the 99th percentile, like, you know, just different scales. Like you might want to be more towards the mean of some scales or more towards the lower end of some scales. It just depends the context of the question. We always need context with data. When in terms of grades, I'd assume most people want to be on the higher end of the grades. So with this right here, we're going to see that this, since there's 20% above here, how many of the students are below here? If there's 20% above there, that would make this mark on there, the students who scored this the what percentile. The students who scored right on this line right here are at the what percentile. If 20% is above here, they're at the what percentile. If 20% is above there, and you can kind of add up this way right here, if you can't see I'm highlighting the, yep, it doesn't show that I'm highlighting the 80 very well, or the 60. The answer is 80%, for this is the 80th percentile right there. So that's where the 80th percentile is at right there. That's the 80th percentile. So then you'd say, well, how could I possibly figure out where that's at? Well, wait a minute. We know the z-score. The z-score just tells us how many whats that's away from the what. And we can write that out mathematically using the z-score, because that's what its z-score is. The z-score for that spot is that. That's going to tell us how many standard deviations something is above or below the mean. So we need to use the z-score and times it by the standard deviation to get the observation. And this is just a reworking of the formula of observation minus mean over standard deviation, but it's also what a z-score does. It's how many standard deviations something is above or below the mean. So all we're going to do right here is plug in the mean of 80, plug in the z-score of 0.842, times it by 10, and we will get 88.42. And I added the extra decimals. I think it was 1/6 or something. Does this make a little bit more sense? Because, and just look at it visually, the z-score up there is how many standard deviations something is above or below the mean. So we could just multiply it by the standard deviation and add it to the mean because that's its distance from the mean in terms of standard deviations. This is a very tough problem right here. Yep, it's just the z-score and some algebra. Drawing it out helps too, and sometimes we might not give the graphic on the test, but we might. So people always say like, well, how can I use the David M. Lane on the test? This is definitely on, a question like this is definitely on the Canvas content quiz. So, you know, come back, watch the example here. This is a really good review question for the test. Like I'm purposely, so know this about these Kahoots, and I'm hoping I might even send a survey out. Like, did you watch the Kahoots? Did you watch them live? Did you review? My hope is that these are really great reviews once a week So thank you everyone for being here. I know we have a lower attendance today. I'm hoping when test comes, it's going to be big but manageable. That's what we want. So this was a really good but really tough test question. Get ready, because we're on to the tough part of the Kahoot. Did Captain Penguin still stay with the lead? Captain Penguin, no. Cheerful Raven has taken the lead. Brave Chicken is doing everything they can. Who will win? Let's find out now. Oh, we got one more question after this. Same distribution. The middle 11% scored between 60. Wait. I think I made a mistake. The middle 89%. My Kahoot has a mistake. The middle. So that's the shade area on this curve is 11%. We're still asking what percent scored above a 96. Oh my gosh. Please ignore 96, 96, 96. What percent scored above 96? This is 11%. This is a slightly easier problem if I knew how to write things. Oh, wait. Yeah, that should say 96. Whoops. Should be 96, 96. This is when I'm finishing up the Kahoot and I'm like, I think of a few more questions. So there's 11% shaded on the curve. And this is where 96 is at. I think people will get this. And I hope my next question is not wrong. Very sorry. What percent of people scored above a 96? This is 11%. Can you see it? Can you see how to do it? I'm going to allude to the next question. So if you're being really competitive now, I'm going to kind of tell you how the next question goes. Great job. I think people understood that we're doing the area above here. That's what I want you to solve. Sorry, it says 86. I didn't notice as I was typing it up. And it should say the middle 89% scored between this. This is the outer or outside of 64 and 96. Hopefully that didn't mess up anyone's Kahoot. Need to change this question. But this is also very similar to questions you could see on the exam too. And how did we figure this out? Well, if 89% is in here, which I meant to write, then 11% would be outside, and then one of these is worth 5.5. Who wants me to No, we need to give away the next question a little bit because I think I copy pasted the question. The next question uses the same graphic, but it's going to ask for one of these points, and it's going to ask for the area above it. Please show no. Yeah, let's show it. I want these videos to be super helpful, and I label these when we're doing things. So let's show it. So this question, if it was a test question, and if someone wrote it correctly, which is always our goal, it would say the following, and very sorry for the error, Mubot. Oh, he's not counting errors today. We're going to focus on education is what we're going to do. Mubot, you're not counting my errors. So this would be 89%, and the question would tell you that, which means that there's 11% total on the outside. Since there's 89% total on the inside, 11% outside, meaning that one of these is worth 5.5%. Nice points there, Ian, and you're part of Stat Nation. Love it. So this is the question right here. It's supposed to ask what percent of students scored above a 96. That was my intent for the question. I am going to leave this graphic on the screen for the moment, and I'm going to tell you what I think the next question is, and I'll confirm when we do it. But the next question, get ready. I'm going to tell you what the next question is. Be listening up. Get ready to, someone's going to answer really quickly on it. The next question asks you what percent of students scored above a 64. The next question asks, that's not the answer. The next question asks you what percent of students, and don't put in the chat yet, the next question asks you what percent of students scored above a 64. So there's going to be some quick buzzing in right here. The next question is what percent of students scored above a 64? You ready? I'm ready. Wow, this is really crazy. Get ready. Here we go. We're going in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. I think it's above a 64. Above a 64. Let's go. Who knows? Did anyone figure it out? Remember, this is meant to be 96, and it's the outside 11%. There were some quick answers on that. So it's the same graphic, but it's above 64. Now, one of the things people often do is they put a small percentage on this, but if you draw this out, some numbers here can be eliminated. It's not 5.5%. It's not 11%. The black area is right here, 11%. A singular black area is worth 5.5. So if this is worth 5.5, you can solve it this way. Think, if 5.5 is below here, what would be above here? Well, maybe that. So drawing this out really helps. And that's one of the things I wanted to stress is, be able to write these, be able to draw these. It's a really great way to make sure you're getting the work done. And we'll be doing some 32474 Kahoots. Do we have any 32474s in the chat? We'll see how many are here. It's been a busy week, and I just want to say thank you, everybody. Lots of hard work. Zach, good to have you here. Look at all those right answers. Nice work. 474 mark, yes. Oh, we got some 320s that competing with the 474s. I want to know who won. Was it, oh, you might have taken over the 201s. Just got here for 320. That's awesome, Mary. Well, you know what? Let's find out who won right here. And let me just show the answer for this one quick before we find out the winner. For this one right here, you're going to take these areas right here and add them up. Did everyone kind of get what I was alluding to? We have Rainbow Pen back. Exciting add-on for class. Rainbow Pen versus Space Pen is back this semester. You got fourth, Daniel. That's awesome, Daniel. Great job. You know what, Daniel? If you have a quote from Mubot that you want to add, I'm going to let you add a quote from Mubot. Send me your quote from Mubot if you want one. Everyone knows Mubot knows all. What do you know, Mubot? Tell us something as we find out the winner of today's game. Stat Nation, you bet. The winners of the Kahoot are Cheerful Raven. Very happy to win right there. Captain Penguin, no! Kahoot quote, is it Brave Chicken? Is it? Brave Chicken. Great job, Brave Chicken. Excellent work right there. And dynamic and fabulous. Way to go. Do we do the disco here? Or just volumes? We don't skip the animation. Let's hop back to the main screen as we get ready. We'll be starting the next Kahoot in about 3-4 minutes. So let's hop over to the main screen and do this. I was like, what do my buttons say? I don't know what my buttons say, so I get confused there. Wait. This is for everyone. Okay, now we can go to the main screen. That's on the main screen button. Okay, we're going to start the next Kahoot here soon. Hang out here if you want. 320, you can play the next Kahoot. We've had good success of no one crashing our Kahoots. So we're going to try the thing again. So I'm going to load the Kahoot up. I'm going to get the Kahoot loaded up in the background right here. Really great responses on the Kahoot. Wow, you see, yeah, the end normal curve stuff we got people on. Okay, we are getting the next normal. Oh, do visualization number 5. My TA wanted me to tell everyone that. So I'm getting the next Kahoot loaded up as we talk. Not Kahoot it. How's everyone doing? Andrew, good to have you here, Andrew. So good to have you, Andrew. Andrew, you going to play? Are you going to play the Kahoot, Andrew? There's $20 on the line. $20 on the line for Amazon or for DoorDash. Let's give this a shot. We got week 3 coding. Couldn't remember if it was week 3 or week 4. I have a new favorite Kahoot song. I want to teach. That's what I want to do. I'm loading up the Kahoot as we speak. How's everyone doing today? How's 320? How's 474 doing? Last night's homework, pretty tough, but a lot of people turned it in. We've had some great submissions. Once again, if anything's going on COVID related, please tell us. We're here to help. We really want to make sure. Struggle with the 4-loop assignment. Dedicating a minute of 3 hour to data camp. This nice, Zach. That's awesome. And don't worry. Coding just comes with time. The first 2 assignments are pretty difficult. Andrew, do you want to give them any advice for 320? Does it get easier? Does the coding get a little bit easier in 320? What advice do you have for them? What advice do you have as we get... I think I've got everything going right here. I don't want to randomize the order of the questions. Classic. Here we go. Okay. We got the music playing. This is my new favorite Kahoot music. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's do this. Let's Kahoot. Yeah, showing the code right now. That was purposeful. It actually was. Yeah. So we got the Kahoot code on the screen. Let's do this. Let's go to the Kahoot code right here. You got it. Jump in to the Kahoot. Super Dingo. First dog was named Super Dog. Who else? Nice. Honest Crab. Creative Lemur. Captain Egret. Silver Condor. Smooth Iguana. Fast snail. What? Did they do that on purpose? Did they do that on purpose? Fast snail. Fuzzy cat. Yeah, these are hero badger. Everyone knows badgers are heroes. We'll give this another minute or two. We'll give it a minute. If you're here, join in. Pretty good attendance right now. These have less attendance. We have like 1,400 students in Stat 201. We have like 300-400. We get pretty good attendance on these. I'm very happy about it because we're gonna do some review today. We're gonna see some new topics in this. We got some disco Kahoot music. Zach, how you doing, Zach? Who is ready? Next week in 474, we will be doing conditional. So we'll be doing if-else statements. In 320, we will be doing associations. Kind of like we were talking about associations previously today. If you watched the 201, we talked about correlations for a moment. Strength, direction, form, unusual features. You were Captain Penguin, so close. I was rooting for you the whole time, Mark. Did you have a good time? Did you learn? Do you have a quote from Mubot? If you have a quote from Mubot, let me know. You can send me the quote and be like, this is a great quote from Mubot. And we'll put your quote from Mubot. Next week will be your week. You know what? Would you rather win the Kahoot or get 100 on the test? Or do they get 100 on the test? Maybe you want to win the Kahoot. So maybe Kahoot win would be the better one. These are the strength, direction, form, unusual features for scatter plots. And scatter plots are bivariate quantitative. Yeah, refreshing your... oh, wait. Oh, because are you in 320, Mark? If you are, great job. That's awesome, Mark. I wonder if it was a 201 who won. 474. Sorry, Mark. So I've had a Zimmerman in my class before. So I don't know if you know other Zimmermans, but I've had a Zimmerman. So I see so many names. I'm like, I know Andrew so well. It's a bummer about not going to the, like, not having office hours in person. Because I'm like, it's easier to put like a face with the name and then be like, which would be like, Brian, I came to your office hours all the time. I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. So who is ready to get started right here? Is it time? Is it time to Kahoot? I think it is. Here we go. We're getting started in 3, 2, as soon as the guy says yeah. 1. It's time to Kahoot. Let's do this. 3, 2, Kahoot. What part of a for loop repeats and never changes? Everyone should know this pretty instantaneously. When it comes to a for loop, you could just copy paste this the whole time, because when the for loop goes inside, it's just going to run this time and time and time again. It does not change. You have to put the placeholder in it. Placeholder's not here. Well, actually, wait, it is. The placeholder, oh, I meant to say variable. I guess the placeholder's not there, but the correct answer is, what part of the for loop never changes? Hint, it's on the inside. Scotty, you got this. Scotty, I'm rooting for you because Scotty, you know it's skeleton. Great review right there. The skeleton's on the inside of the for loop. I think I've got, just so you can see the pattern. Oh, those might be some questions coming up later. The skeleton is the inside right here. So if you do something like print I, and then you have I be your variable name, and then you do a vector of 1 through 10, that is the vector of values that I will go through, and it'll print 1 through 10. This right here is the skeleton, and the skeleton never changes. So I was right about that thing. Oh, that's awesome. Was I right? I don't know which thing you're right about. So I is the variable. And then 1 through 10 is the vector. Oh, I know what you're talking about. And I need to look into that more. I need to know too. That's a really important thing you're talking about. Yes, I need to know. And so there is what goes into the for loop. And if you were to write this for loop out, like your homework questions, it would do this. It would go at first, I has 1 saved into it, skeleton. I has 2 saved into it, skeleton. And then I has 10 saved into it, skeleton. The skeleton never changes. Never, ever, 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 ever changes. Scotty, are you Silver Condor? Dynamic Condor? The Condors are leading the way here. And we have this is neck and neck. Really good answers right there. Everyone knows the skeleton is the inner part of the for loop. It never changes. But do you know, let's see right here. What part of a for loop changes every time the loop for the loop restarts? Every time the for loop restarts. I actually wrote it correctly and I can't read. What part of the for loop changes every time the for loop restarts? Every time it restarts, this changes. Oh, good. I did put the right answer on the screen. I really hope I did not select the wrong answer. I wrote the 201 Kahoot, and then I wrote this right here. And I'm really hoping... Oh, I'm going to feel so bad. I'm going to feel so bad if the answer is this one right here. No. I need a vote. Mubot's taking a vote. That's not right. I know. I was like, why is that on there? Let me do something right here. That is a wrong answer on a Kahoot, and I'm very sorry. Let's take a quick vote. Yes or no? Should Brian restart the Kahoot? Because that's not fair. Should we restart the Kahoot? And we'll just reselect the... You'll know that the answer is the value for that one. Very sorry if you're leading. Should we just restart the Kahoot real quick? What do people say? Or should we just use this right here? Because only one person got it right. You can just say yes or no in the chat, and I'll do what people say. We're seeing yeses. We see one yes so far. Be ready. We're going to restart the Kahoot real quick. I'm very sorry. When we get to this one, the answer is the value. It's going to be... I agree. No, I don't... Here, let me hop to the other screen. No, we have... That's the first wrong answer in a Kahoot that I've had. I apologize. Like I said... Okay, wait. You know what I'm going to do? I can edit the Kahoot really quickly because I'm actually on the edit screen. Can I change it? Okay, I'm going to edit the question. Edit. 2 seconds. Okay. We will edit the Kahoot. I apologize. So now, we only did one question. I always put the right answer in the first thing. And... Okay. So... I think I edited it. Let me make sure I edited it. It's so weird when you edit it. Okay, 2 seconds. We'll start the Kahoot back up. Very sorry. Okay, good. Let's play the Kahoot. Let's play the Kahoot. We'll be back here in 2 seconds. Okay, classic. I had a wrong answer in the Kahoot, and I apologize. So we have to restart the... We're just restarting the Kahoot. We're only on question 2. And so let's see right here. Here is the new Kahoot code. We had like 18 people playing. Let's see if everyone can get joined back in here really quickly. We're only on question 2, so who knows where people are at. It was a really neck and neck lead right here, and we already know question 1 is what... And I think everyone can hear and see me. There we go. People are joining in. You'll have different names. We'll do the first 2 questions a little quickly, and we'll wait till we have like the 18 people again. If it levels off at like 12 or 15, I'll start it up. Thank you, everyone. I'm very sorry about that. I looked at it and I was like, those 2 things look really similar, and I don't think I intended that. It was like, I'm like thinking of more questions and doing stuff like that. Okay, we'll get started here in just like 10 seconds. So if you weren't here before, well, if you're 201, you should know those answers. We're going to get started in about 5 seconds. Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Here we go. So what part of the for loop never changes? There's going to be some quick answers on this. Let's see it. What part of the for loop never changes? What part of the for loop never, ever, 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 ever changes? It's the same code every time you run that for loop. Oh no! It's so hard to get 100% right. It is the skeleton. The skeleton's the inner part of the for loop that never changes. Wow, the points are even higher this time. Tropical lemur? Oh no, Andrew. But Andrew, do you know, and it's all right, what part of the for loop changes every time the for loop runs? Every time it restarts, and the right answer this time, the right answer, right answer, right answer, right answer. Choose the right one. The right answer. The right answer. The right answer. I changed it. Okay, good. The right answer. It is the variable. The variable is the thing in the for loop that is right here. This is the variable, and every time you run the for loop, it's going to change what the variable is, and the variable will go through the vector. Let's do some new questions now, and let's see if Tropical Lemur is still in the lead. That's a shakeup. Brave Penguin is back. I did this on purpose. Oh, it was Dr. Penguin last time. Well, we're rooting for Brave Penguin. Let's do this. Let's see who's going to win right here. What part of a while loop controls how long it runs? What part of the while loop? Uh-oh, this is a 474 question. Maybe it's something you didn't learn in 320, so process of elimination. What part of a while loop controls how long it runs? And we'll be talking a little about while loops coming up here, so sorry 320, these are like little 474 stuff right here. So So this will be harder if you're in 320. The condition. I'll drop some hints right now, so listen in, dropping hints for the next 2 questions. The condition of the while loop is the only thing it has at the start of it. And a while loop, I want to see it in the chat, see if you're following along. The while loop will run as long as what? The while loop will continuously run as long as the what? So if we have a while loop right here, and it has a condition in it, it'll run as long as what? So if we did something like here, we say like Brian is less than 10, and then we go right here and we say Brian is equal to 5, and then we say print, and we say print Adam, and then we go here, Brian save into Brian plus 1. You'll notice here it runs and it keeps adding it. So it's going to run as long as the condition is true. So if I run this right now, if I run this code, which I really like this as a test question, if I run this code now, I ran my while loop stopped. If I were to run this code right now, what would the code evaluate to? If I ran, the while loop has already completed. The while loop ran everything already. So with the while loop completed, what would this code evaluate to with the while loop completed? What would this code evaluate to? This code with the while loop completed will evaluate to false. That's a graphical error, false. It evaluates to false because the while loop takes a condition. And so whatever you put up there must be a singular condition. That's a problem too, I often see. So the while loop takes a condition right there. And since the while loop stopped, the condition evaluated to false. Does that make sense for everyone in 320, While loops are important. We teach them in 474. But so if you're in 320, this is giving you a good peek into the future. Does this make sense? Who's with me on this? Let's get some yeses or nos in the chat. How are people doing with this one? Pretty good. There's silence. No, that's the wrong button. I'm going to play sad music. We're not going to be sad, though. We're going to see who's winning the Kahoot. Let's do this. Let's hop back into the Kahoot right here. Everyone is so serious. It's time to go to the next question right here. And Brave Penguin still in the lead. Here we go with the next Kahoot question. It's going to be, what will the following code do? What will the following code do? Didn't see an answer. I was worried we weren't even broadcasting. I get scared there. What will it do? What does that condition always evaluate to? It always evaluates to true, because 2 is always logically equal to 2. So since this always evaluates to true, it'll run endlessly. I guess it will print hello world, but it'll more specifically, it'll run endlessly. You wouldn't want to run a code like this because the condition here never evaluates to false. So probably the most thing I would say to somebody, you have an infinite loop right there. That's an infinite loop. That's a bad idea in coding because it's just going to go, it's going to do it multiple times. It's not going to run this one time. It's going to do it endlessly right there. So who is in the lead? Brave Penguin just holding second strong against Green Sphinx and Funny Penguin. You think you're funny? I like that. Funny Penguin, you're my new favorite. Funny Penguin, you got this. Let's see who wins right here with question 5. How many times will the while loop run its code? This is a tough one. So when the while loop starts, I is equal to 1. So it goes into this loop and it runs 1 time. Now I is equal to 2, and then it runs. Now I is equal to 3, and it runs. Now I is equal to 4, and it runs. Oh, wait a minute. I tricked everybody. This is a trick question. It said, well, I is greater than 5, or I is greater than 5, which means this was the mean one. If you caught it, great job. It doesn't run at all. Who got that? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was a trick question. Every once in a while, we put a trick question on the test. I meant to have a little fun on that one. I already feel bad because I put one trick question on here, and then I got one question wrong myself. How's chat doing? Am I logged out of chat? Chat, are you here? Who's in chat right now? Let me go look at the YouTube chat, make sure everything is connected. I think it's just silence. Silence. Me, Mila, that is awesome, Mila. Thank you so much. It goes so silent, and I'm just like, oh no. Awesome. Great job, Lauren, Amber, and Anita, and Elena, and Mark. Great job. No, we didn't want you to lose your streak. The next one, the for loop will run. Sean, good to see you here. The next one, the while loop will run. Let's see who's in the lead. Are the Penguins still there? Penguins are still on the leaderboard. It's the duo of penguins. It's two brothers, two brother penguins. That's a big gap right there. Wow, look at this. We got like the first through third. Don't lose hope though, because with the next question, it could all change. How many times will the while loop run its code? These are kind of easy test questions to write, so I can imagine one of these being on the test. You have to think with this one, it's going to run as long as I is less than 5. So I starts out as 1, goes into loop, runs 1 time. I goes to 2, runs again. I goes to 3, runs again. I goes to 4, runs again. I goes to 5. So the answer should be... I actually ran it to make sure. It runs 4 times. So once again, let me repeat the process. I starts out, if you review the tape, you'll hear me do it 4 times. By the way, it's... You're killing me, Andrew. Oh, it's pigeon? Is it a pigeon, really? Wow, I can't read. I just think it's a penguin. So with this one, I starts out as 1, and then it goes into the loop, and it runs because I is equal to 1. Now I becomes 2, and then the loop runs right here. And then I becomes 3, and the loop runs. And then I becomes 4, and the loop runs. But now the I is 5, and it stops. And if you don't believe me, I promise you, you can write this code. I might still have it on the screen unless I changed my code around. But I was taking screenshots of these right here. Not that the other questions are on the screen too. Not that that's a question coming up. But just so you can see, it runs it 4 times. Not that we're going to talk about some conditional next. So I should have put some association stuff on here for 320. Next time I will put more 320. So 320 next week is going to be more geared towards 320, more with associations. So get ready 320. This was more of a preview for 474. And I'm going to put some 320 association stuff on here next week. So if you're 320, big stuff for 320 coming up here. So this loop runs 4 times. And we are probably this is a huge thing for 474. Your test questions over coding would be very similar to this. And you just have to think through it and walk through it and literally run the code yourself. We'll make smaller examples, but we want you to be able to think through code. Does that make sense? Who's excited about the test? Who's afraid about the test? Anybody as we find out the leaderboard? And I will say this, we do look at like the distribution of grades. If the test is too hard or if there's a question that's too hard, we do make changes. So do not worry. You're basically, please do not give them a 9 out of 10 difficulty for the take home. Andrew, do you have any advice for them? What would you say? Like the take homes and everything? I wouldn't be, so let me just pause here because I feel like I made everyone afraid. We're definitely one of those classes where like we look at the distribution, and if the test has like a 60, we curve up to like a 72. So we try to make sure that the test we give has like a low C average. And we're not going to curve down, but we've done this class for a very long time now. The take home usually has an 80 average for 320. And the same thing goes for 474, like take homes and stuff like that. We usually see like low B's, and then tests we usually see low C's. So your goal is if you do all the homework and you do all the quizzes and everything we ask of you, usually if you do around average on the test, you can at least make a B in the class. Which, think about that. If you do average on the test, you make a B in the class. So then your goal is to do better on the test than average, which, I know the test can be difficult, but, well, you gave Summer 474 a hard take on 320, 3 out of 10. Oh, yeah. 320 got like an easier one. Yeah, and so we can't promise a curve, but this is not one of those classes where we fail everybody. But I do want to say this, it's really good. This is my last little slide as we pause on this question. This morning we had Forum Fridays. We had companies there like Procter & Gamble, which one of the gentlemen from Procter & Gamble is going to come and speak to the Business Analytics Society. We're trying to get that planned out right now. So if you're in the Business Analytics Society, they're looking to get interns. They want to talk about how they use data. And he was asking like, what simulation are you doing? What programming languages are you doing? It was very much like, we want to know exactly what we want to hire your graduates. We want to get interns. Very, very involved with the companies. We also had Amazon there this morning. We had Tremel there. I'm trying to think who else was there. I don't want to say anyone else who wasn't there for certain right now, but I think there was about maybe somewhere between 8 to 12 companies at the Forum Friday this morning. And they're companies that we speak to add to, like, once again, I think, was Kimberly Clark there? I'm trying to think, because Pilot might have been there. They were on the list of people who are corporate partners, and they're one of our establishing first corporate partners. But we're trying to give you in this class a strong skill set. This business analytics degree is challenging, but the salaries, they showed them this morning, I think it was 58%. no, 58, I can't even speak. $58,000 was the starting undergrad, but don't do something because of a salary. Never do something because of a salary. But that's to say that the undergraduates are very competitive. Our students are getting out there and getting really great jobs at competitive rates for graduates, undergraduates. How much are dues for Business Analytics Society? I think it's $20 a semester. Is anyone in the Business Analytics Society? If you want to mention what the dues are, and if you want Andrew, I can put you in contact with Cecil, who is the president. But once again, find something you love to do. If you like doing certain things, we also have Frito-Lay. Yeah, Amber, yeah, definitely. And so they're trying to connect people with jobs and opportunities and internships and all that good stuff. $20 a semester. I think it's great. Yeah, Mark. And big shout out to Kara White, who was the last president. And of course, Cecil's the current president. They really work hard. They want to help everyone out. And so really great stuff going on there. So shout out to Business Analytics Society. Send me an email if you want to get in contact with Cecil, and I'll make sure you get in contact. If you win the Kahoot and you want a BAS, if you want to, because it's $20, if you want, I'll pay your dues for the Business Analytics Society. I'll say to Cecil, I'll be like, I'll send him the money for it. So if you want to join. So anyways, I need to talk to Cecil about something too. Forgot about that. With that, let's do this right here. Let's go to the next question. Which of the following can be nested? Nested is when you put something inside of something else. Like think of those, nesting dolls. Those things right there. When you put them inside of them, you nest them inside of them. So could you put a for loop inside of a for loop? You could. Could you put ifs inside of ifs? You could. Could you put whiles inside of whiles? You could. Could you put else's inside of like else's and ifs? You can nest those inside of things? You bet. Nesting code is kind of what we do when we put code in code. You like your code, so let's put some code inside of it. You'll see more nesting right here, especially in 474. So nesting is when you just put like a for loop inside of a for loop. It was during office hours yesterday. I think I did a for loop inside of a for loop. So if you want to see office hours yesterday have a nested for loop example, which we will be covering in 474. Get ready for the next question. We had a long pause last one. Those are no fun. It's just a for loop inside a for loop. And you could put a for loop inside of a for loop inside of a for loop. You could nest 3 for loops. You could nest 24 loops. It'd be crazy, but yep. The idea of nesting would be something like maybe you want to do each customer, like a code on each customer, but then you want it to switch between companies. So customer would be nested within company. So you'd start with company A, go through all the customers, go out of that loop, go to company B, then go to all the customers in company B, and then go to company C, and then go to all the customers in company C, go to company D, and then all the customers. Do you see how it goes outer loop, inner loop, outer loop, inner loop? And when it completes the inner loop, it goes to the outer loop, advances that variable 1 through the vector. So that's the idea of nesting right there. And we'll see that more coming up, but just wanted to put the idea of nesting in your head as we find out Brave Penguin is in the lead. Tropical Lemur. You got to get back there. You got to do a Tropical Lemur. 3 more questions. What will the following code do? I have no idea. If 2 is equal to 2, Brian, else Brian. I'm going to put Brawl on there. What will it do? So ifs are kind of like whiles. These are code brackets right here. They're these squiggly ones, and you put code inside of them. This is the function with the argument, which is a condition. So when it comes to if statements, if the if evaluates to true, it'll run this. If the if evaluates to false, it'll run the else code. Brian, and that's a little, does this make sense? Who thinks they can follow this syntax? That you put a condition here. So the if is a function that takes a condition, and if the condition evaluates to true, then you will run this code in the if, and you can connect an else to it. And so maybe if it evaluates to false, it'll run this code right here. So good job right there. This is just a peek into the future so we can put some syntax into our mind and find out who's the winner. The leaderboard is just locked up right now. Get ready. 2 more questions. Who's going to win? What does the following code do? So this, I wanted to highlight something with this right here. You'll notice that in the if, it takes a condition. So this evaluates to a singular true or singular false. A singular true or a singular false is evaluated here, and if the if evaluates to false, it will not run this code. It will run code if you connect an else to it. You don't have to connect an else is optional, but if it is connected, it'll run the else code. So this will run all the way over there. I can't get to it, but that Brian all the way over there. So if the if evaluates to false, as in this part of the function, which is a condition, and I do want to state time and time again, and I've made this mistake many times, an if needs to evaluate to how many trues or falses. An if needs to evaluate to how many trues or falses. An if inside of here needs to evaluate to how many trues or falses. You can't feed it a vector. It needs to evaluate to how many trues or how many falses when you run an if. Just for 100 points, who knows? Just how many? No one knows. One, Victoria, just one. You can only have this be one true or one false when you run the code. It can't be a vector. But do you know what can be a vector? Right after the leaderboard here, Green Sphinx is coming back. Brave Penguin, can you hold on to it? Because now we're going to see what can take a vector. Hint for the question. And that would be an if-else. An if-else can take a vector. Hint for the question. Get them out of the way. So when you use an if-else, what would you use with an if-else? Think about the last one, what it used. It used a kind of logical. The answer's already out there now. The last one used a logical, and it only used a singular thing. So this one will use a vector with a logical check. So this will be a vector with a logical check right here. So it's still doing a logical check, but it's doing it across a vector. We can see a lot of examples of this pretty quickly. I'll do a very quick example of this. Like, let's say we want to see if a car is fast. So we're going to go here to data empty cars, and we've loaded up the empty cars data frame. Let's go to the bottom. So with empty cars, we could go to the, what was it? Miles per gallon. What is fast? Would it be speed? Horsepower. So let's see. We've got these horsepowers. What is this horsepower thing right here? It's a what? This horsepower thing is a what? This horsepower is a what? This thing right here is simply a what? This is a, it kind of looks like a matrix, but it's only a what? It is a vector. If you extend the screen, you can see it's just a vector of data. Does that make sense? That's graphical error. It's just a vector. It just loops around the screen. If you were to go here and say the elements 1 through 5, it's just a vector of data. It's just a linear kind of one-dimensional object. And so watch this. Let's do a test right here. Let's say horsepower greater than 100. Does everyone see we have trues and falses? Does this make sense right here? We did a logical test on a vector. And do you remember what the Kahoot said? It said vector with a logical check. So what did we just do? We did a vector with a logical check. So you know what I could do? I could go right here and I could label these cars. I could go to if else and I could put the vector with the logical check in, and it has the yes and the no condition. I could say here strong car, I guess high horsepower, and a weak car for that. And it's recoded those, and I could go to my empty cars. I could then store a new variable, and I could say type of horsepower, store this into here, and guess what? The empty cars data set now has that new variable on it. So if you notice what we've done right here is I've appended a new variable to the data frame. So I'm kind of behind it. But if you notice where horsepower is, we've got the strong cars, we've got the weak cars, and I did this all with the if-else statement right here, and I recoded a variable. If you want it to be a factor, you should go around it here and go to factor, and now we've recoded that variable as a factor, just showing the same code, but you should actually care about the variable type because that's how R is going to see it. So now it's as a factor, not a string. Previously, I just wanted to correct my error right there. If I didn't put this factor around it, the if-else would treat it as a string, as those as words, but I've created the factor right here. One last thing someone might say, because we're right about done, they might say, well, Brian, you might want to put in certain levels, and we're going to go, so let's do a new line of code, and we want to go here to the levels of it, and we're going to go weak. We got to do that in quotes, and we'll see who won the Kahoot in 10 seconds here. Strong, and then we want to do, is it ordered? It's ordered equals true. Ordered equals true, and now we have a ordered logical vector in here, which is an ordinal variable. So this right here is an ordinal variable, and you can see this if you go to the class of empty cars, and we go here to this, it's an ordered factor. So just showing how we can easily recode data, and that's kind of the power of coding, and the better and more you practice, you'll get used to this, and we've got the winner leaderboard coming up. Let's do this. This was a peek into the future. If you followed along and you understand all these things, you're doing excellent, but who is the excellent winner today? Third place. Awesome Llama. Awesome Llama. Brave Penguin. Oh my gosh. Green Sphinx? Who is it going to be? Honest Meerkat. Honest Meerkat. Great job, Honest Meerkat. Got Tropical Lemur and Radiant. Radiant, I don't know who the Radiant was. Any last questions before we end the Kahoot here? Great job, everybody. If you'd want the Business Analytics Society dues paid, I think we could do that. I think that's a fair thing to do. If you're like, hey, Brian, I'd like to, but choose your pick. I think it's fair to do. So, actually, I didn't even think of that option when I was making up the $20 prize. Any last questions? Did we lose everybody? Let me see how many people are watching. 13. Good stuff. I'll be heading off here in a moment. You too, Zach. Have a great weekend. No Bander, have a great weekend too. Great job, everybody. Excellent work. You're welcome, Mark. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. You too, Mila. Have a great night. Hopefully when the test comes up, I'm going to keep playing these. Sean, have a great weekend too. We lost our Kahoot music. I said I was going to do it. Is this the right one? It is. This is Punch-Out music from Nintendo. Have a great weekend, Victoria. We're going to head off here after the song ends. It is time to go. Everyone have a great weekend. It's Friday.